And I guess I've been dreaming, 'cause now that I'm woke, everything that I see ain't what it seems, man. I guess I've been dreaming, 'cause now that I'm here, what I feel motivates me with reason. I guess I've been dreaming, 'cause now that I'm woke, everything that I see ain't what it seems, man. I guess I've been dreaming, 'cause now that I'm here, what I feel motivates me with reason. I guess I've been dreaming.
Peace and love to the guys and goddesses and all the high vibrate species on the planet. What it is, what it do. Academate, salute to you. Welcome back to the channels, man. How we living out there, y'all? How we living? I hope y'all doing good, because I'm gonna need a second real quick. Your boys got the vent. I got a vent, y'all. I just got to. Because I would say that I'm ashamed in the people, but I'm not ashamed. Some people needs to be ashamed. I'm just gonna say it like that. Some people needs to be ashamed, and here's why. And I'm gonna try to make this short, y'all. I'm trying to make this short. So I'm coming home. You know what I'm saying? To get ready to do this video, of course. And I see your truck, and he flashes me. You know what I'm saying? You know, you get the little flash, you drive, you know what I'm saying? You get the flash. Typically, it's the people looking out for the people, you know what I'm saying? Because there's either a police officer ducked off somewhere, hiding, doing something he shouldn't be doing, speed trapping, or some construction. So I slow down a little bit, you know what I mean? To make sure I don't, whatever, because, I mean, it is a little bit traffic. And then it's neither of the above. It's, I see two mini pugs running down the road, in the middle of the road, jumping the lanes. Pretty much they got traffic completely bam. You know what I'm saying? Traffic is you feel me? So this is the holdup. Now I see the dogs coming toward me, and then all of a sudden I see the owner pop out giving chase. Alright. Traffic is backed up both sides, y'all. Listen to me now. Traffic's backed up both sides. So I finally come to a stop. I say, hey, well, you know what? Let me just jump out and cover the space that the owner all the way back there has to cover in order to catch these dogs. And they're not stopping. Like, before he catch them, they're going to be long up this road, and traffic is going to be horrible. So I jump out right as the dogs pass my vehicle, and I give chase. And I'm kind of like yelling at the other cars, as y'all see we're not moving. Can somebody kind of get out and kind of grab a dog? Please. Like, I'm just, you know what I mean? Just kind of do what I'm doing. Be a good Samaritan, or show a little compassion, or show a little selflessness. You know what I mean? Something. Because clearly this is the issue, y'all. So if you're mad because you're in traffic, we're trying to clear the issue. If you would help us, we can get this cleared a lot sooner. So I'm kind of upset with the people. I'll just say that. I'm not ashamed, because I jumped out and I actually caught the dogs. I actually caught the dogs. Okay? I gave chase. I had to get my Barry Allen on, catamates. I'm talking about serious. I had to get my hazard lights. Boom, I'm out. Come here. Caught one little pug. The other one kept giving chase. Finesse with it a little bit. He kept running around. The owner finally caught up to us. I'm holding one dog. The other one ran off. I was thinking like, damn, well, maybe they don't want to be with the owner. This is what I'm thinking, because the other one kept running off. So then I'm down with the other one trying to get him, because he's patting real bad. So, I mean, because they was the wrong, and it's a hill. They was darting. Yeah. So he's patting. I'm trying to get him to calm down. I'm trying to catch my breath a little bit. And the other dog, and then I'm calling him back, and eventually he comes right back to me. Jumps in my face, trying to lick me all in my face, looking at the owner like, nigga, damn you. I want to go with him. So I'm kind of felt away. But anyways, that's beside the point. So I caught the dogs. All these people, hundreds of you, ain't no telling how many of you passed. Somebody could have did this. A lack of compassion, a lack of selflessness. I could go on and on. Y'all. So if you come across this video, man, do not be none of these people. I'm not saying you got to put your life on the line, but if you can help, man, help. Because there's going to come a time, or there probably was a time, that you needed somebody to do something And you feel me? Or you're going to need somebody to do something, and you're not going to have nobody there to do nothing for you. What goes around comes around. So I just upped my blessing 2 times. Caught 2 dogs. You know what I mean? I did something I didn't have to do, but I did it because I saw that I could do it and manage it. And while I'm yelling at other people to help me clear this issue, nobody wants to help. Well, anyways, y'all, welcome back to the channel. We have SCP-4036, the Republic, for which it stands. I could go on, but it's coming. It's coming. Wait for it. And I'm sure this has nothing to do with the Constitution. Best believe that. But we're going to check it out and see what's so republic about it. And yeah, man, I hope you got what you need, because I do. And without further ado, don't be them people out there. Okay? Be somebody like me. Not me. Somebody like me. If you can help, you will help. Okay? Without further ado, let's get her busted. And I do appreciate y'all allowing me to vent. Thank you. Thank you. Good to you. Good attitude to you all. Peace. Let's get it, y'all. Let's get it.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Miller,
Dr.
and
Miller,
the SCP we're going to be looking at today is SCP-4036.
Talk to me.
Object Class, Keter.
We see that. We see that.
Special Containment Procedures. SCP-4036 is to be surrounded by a perimeter covering 120,000 kilometers squared, maintained by the Foundation Navy in collaboration with United Nations peacekeeping troops in order to prevent any SCP-4036-1 instances or trade coming in or out of the perimeter. If objects or persons attempt to penetrate the perimeter, they are to be neutralized and their remains relocated to Site 4 in Indonesia. Foundation operatives are to infiltrate political, military, religious, and cultural institutions on SCP-4036. These operatives are to acquire information on ongoing affairs, potential operations against the Foundation, and subvert potential operations within SCP-4036. At all times, at least 2% of the population of SCP-4036 is to be made up of Foundation operatives or SCP-4036-1 instances loyal to the Foundation. In the case of a mass-scale military operation against the Foundation from SCP-4036, Operation Black Lily is to be enacted. Operation Black Lily is to only be enacted in the possibility that A. SCP-4036 can no longer be contained without an XE lifted veil scenario, B. that large areas of land will not be returned to their respective countries, and C. SCP-4036 will rout Foundation forces in such a way that it leaves the Foundation completely defenseless. At the time, the president of SCP-4036's attitude towards the Foundation has been conciliatory, lacking any hostility characteristic of previous administrations or governments. However, due to the current atmosphere regarding the Foundation and the possibility that the president will be ousted before any permanent solution can be established, diplomatic relationships have remained the same. Special containment procedures have remained in place in the possibility that an anti-Foundation president and legislative group take control over the governmental apparatus. Description: SCP-4036 is a small unitary theocratic republic located in an archipelago in the southeastern region of Polynesia, 300 kilometers in radius and 100,000 kilometers squared in area. SCP-4036's citizens refer to it as the Aditite Republic of Polynesia. It was previously under the autocratic rule of Person of Interest 432, Norman Taylor, from 1857 to 1862 before his assassination by Foundation-backed groups in the region. Prior to this, SCP-4036 was highly militaristic. combining industrial-age technology with biological weaponry to create a mobilized military. SCP-4036 had controlled around 30% of Polynesia, with the majority of its holdings in sparsely populated locations. Current authorities of SCP-4036 have disavowed its founder, Person of Interest 432, and previous imperialist ambitions. SCP-4036's population is primarily anomalous, with current estimates ranging from 50 to 80%. Government statistics state around 64% of the population is anomalous, although due to a lack of peer review, it is unknown if this is representative of the island's population. The population is primarily capable of flesh manipulation. SCP-4036's state religion is Sarkism, with official statistics claiming that all of SCP-4036-1 are adherents to Sarkism, despite there being small Christian and Islamic groups within the country. Freedom of religion is allowed under the Constitution, although most non-Sarkic instances worship in secret to prevent social and political ostracization. SCP-4036's society is primarily rural, with a few central urban areas which the majority of the population lives. These urban locations vary from standard concrete to biological buildings. Economically, SCP-4036 is built around animal and human agriculture, manufacturing, and tobacco farming. Trade is impossible due to ongoing containment of SCP-4036. SCP-4036's government controls 60% of the economy, while the rest is owned either communally or by individuals. SCP-4036's government is divided into 3 branches: executive, legislative, and judicial. The legislative branch is divided into 3 houses: the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the Carcass Council. The House of Representatives currently comprises around 100 representatives, each one representing 100 people. The Senate is composed of 10 delegates, each representing 1,000 people. Both houses are chosen by majority vote per district. The Carcass Council is a group of 20 individuals representing the main religious governing body, the Church of the Republic, of which all citizens are members. This house is made up of individuals hand-selected by the Carcass. A bill can be made into law in one of 2 ways. A. Be approved by 60% of both the Senate and the House of Representatives, or B. Be approved of by the Carcass Council with a majority vote, even if one house unanimously rejects the proposal. The executive branch is made up of a president, elected by popular vote, and their cabinet, both serving 5-year terms with no chance for re-election. All cabinet positions must be approved of by the Carcass Council in majority vote, or by 60% of both the Senate and the House. The judicial branch makes up the Supreme Court of the Republic, composed of 6 posts, all for life. This is made up of appointees chosen by the President and approved of by a simple majority in the Senate and the House. SCP-4036's society is a combination of proto-Sarkic beliefs and modernity, with a heavy focus on religion and civic patriotism, and modern technology. Religiosity of Grand Carcass Ion is highly valued by the public, along with technological innovation. Electronic and digital products are popular amongst SCP-4036-1, with the majority of them coming from either smuggling or bootlegging. However, biological machinery is also used by the populace, primarily among lower classes. Biological machinery is often viewed as inferior to digital and electronic technology, and is usually used when non-biological options are not available. Often, lower classes are incapable of buying products, resorting to crafting their own. While social stratification exists in SCP-4036's society, every individual is entitled to adequate healthcare and food. Healthcare is comparatively the cheapest in the entire world. However, this is most likely due more to the abundance of biological manipulation and crafting among the population than to any inherent superiority of the government healthcare system. Participation in the armed forces or civil duty is mandatory once a citizen reaches the age of 19. Individuals must either spend time in the armed forces for 2 years before being discharged or participate in civil duty for 16 months. Most citizens choose the latter option. Patriotic and religious feelings often coincide with one another in the cultural depictions of SCP-4036. Clavigar Sarn is often heavily associated with Lady Adytum, the personification of SCP-4036. Prayer often occurs directly after a salute to the flag of SCP-4036. Every president of SCP-4036 has cited a strong belief in sarcasm. The majority of SCP-4036-1 hold the belief that an individual cannot be a citizen of SCP-4036 without also being a Sarkic. The military of SCP-4036 often uses the Seal of Clavigor Orok, the Clavigar of war and domination. Currently, SCP-4036 has been contained to around 300 islands, and not allowed to expand beyond these borders. While no treaty or cooperative agreement has been established between the Foundation and SCP-4036, there have been no further attempts by either side to cease the stalemate. Person of Interest File Number 432. Legal name, Norman Taylor. Aliases used, President Taylor. Associated Group.
Okay, so they don't sound like they're from the planet, these people. And it sounds like like they got like some type of monarchy system going, but at the same time it's I'm trying to find the word for it. But maybe it'll come to me. But anyways, but then on top of that, they're showing you this picture. I wonder if this is like the Leviathan priesthood or something, like dealing with the Alpha Draconis. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a K-class scenario. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at it's Keter, so obviously it's dangerous. And they run it like it is like a company is ran, a corporation. Let me say a corporation, like the United States is a corporation, so of course it's ran like a corporation. They're into technology. Okay, yeah. This sounds like some reptilian work right here. This may be some reptilian work right here, y'all. You know what I'm saying? But let's see. We got
Groups of interest. Polynesian Sarkic. Associated Person of Interest. Person of Interest 182, William Walker. Person of Interest 433, Ohashi Hachigoro. And Person of Interest 431, John Taylor. Reason for monitoring. Person of Interest having violated A. American Neutrality Acts, and B. having set up an illegal state called the Aditite Republic of Polynesia, along with various other filibusters and mercenaries. Current course of action, non-applicable. Former course of action, neutralize Person of Interest before Person of Interest can attempt to either disrupt colonial interests in Polynesia, or under more severe circumstances attempt to take over vast quantities of land. Priority, not applicable. Previously high. Status, dead. Previously president of an illegal republic, henceforth referred to as SCP-4036. Background information. Prior to Person of Interest's relationship with SCP-4036 and other filibusters, Person of Interest developed an impactful, if short, relationship with Person of Interest 182, William Walker, in 1853. After Person of Interest 182 was attempting to recruit mercenaries to create the independent Federal Republic of Sorona, October 1853 to May 1854, and the Republic of Lower California, October 1853 to January 1854, as slave colonies in the region. However, by 1854, the relationship had declined between Person of Interest 432 and 182, eventually leading in Person of Interest 432 to split from Person of Interest 182. By 1855, Person of Interest had heard various stories about a virgin island in the southern area of Polynesia, filled with resources such as sugarcane, tobacco, and gold. Notably, this region purportedly contained a population that had very little, if any, contact with European explorers, and was, in the eyes of most American filibusters at the time, servile in nature. In 1856, Person of Interest wrote to his brother, Person of Interest 431, John Taylor, who operated a private shipbuilding and trading service at the time, asking for a variety of ships for the journey. Person of Interest 431 delivered the ships at a reduced charge for Person of Interest 432, but only under the condition that he never contact him again. By 1857, Person of Interest hired around 300 mercenaries and filibusters to come with him in the total of 10 ships, outfitted with cannons and 1 year's worth of food for the entire crew. Person of Interest then left for the island.
Hey, I can't think of it right off bat, but I've heard this story somewhere before. Hold on.
It should be noted that Person of Interest...
That last part, when you said, I'm going to give you what you need, but you better not call me no more. I remember that. That was distinct to me because I laughed the first time I heard it.
Interest had no direct evidence of SCP-4036's existence, as it only existed in rumor in the California and Nevada territories. The following documents have been ordered sequentially in the order that they were written. Walker ruined Sonora and Baja, and is currently ruining Nicaragua. He is an immoral slaver who believes himself better than all others. I tried to force him in the right direction, but he would not listen to reason. This time things will be sufficiently different. We have weaponry. We are away from normal civilization and away from the Americas. Of course, other colonial powers are nearby, but as long as we do not anger them or gain their attention, all things will turn out well. Walker was crude in his presidential style, only ever focusing on slavery, that horrific, barbaric institution. It was a fantasy, as if they would be set atop the aristocracy instead of a rich Tennessean. It is a quite crude and amoral venture, in my view. A yellow man, an anthropologist who has accompanied me on my voyage for the sake of easy communication with these tribesmen, came to me in private confidence to warn me about his perceived fears over this project of mine. I told him that such fears were not justified. We were both Republicans. We both believed slavery was immoral. Did he not agree that it was the job of more civilized people, like us and the Japanese, to bring civilization to these poor, barbaric people? To provide them the tools and the resources to fight back against tyranny. Exploitation of the weak and powerless is inherent to the human condition. Cain slew Abel just for being more pleasing in the eyes of our Lord and Savior. 4 people on our planet, and we have our first murder. The first time blood was spilled upon the ground in the pursuit of petty revenge. It is our job to give these people some sort of equal standing, to have people defend them against exploitation. The yellow man agreed and went back to work. We reached the island.
What?
I saw a woman in the tree line matching the descriptions of the natives. She wore flesh-like things on her body.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? You see that type of thinking right there is how y'all be getting y'all, like, see? God, see? I mean, I could say, listen, that's how the world got where it got, because people are always trying to think for other people. If somebody is somewhere and they're not being bothered by anybody, if somebody is somewhere and they haven't fallen through all the tyranny that's been across the planet, why would you be thinking in your mind, we need to give them something and civilize them? No, leave people alone. That's how you got in the debacle that you're in now, by messing with people, making treaties and deals and stuff with people or things, beings that you shouldn't be dealing with. And now look, and always trying to do it in the name of somebody else so you feel justified. So the way that this guy felt was not justified to have a bad feeling about going somewhere and dealing with some people and trying to convert them to some shit that they don't need to be converted to. you're going to tell him that's not justified. But you're thinking to go and civilize somebody that didn't ask you to do anything for them in the name of somebody else. And that justifies your actions. How? How? Because obviously you're not even doing it on your own steam. You're doing it in the Lord and Savior. You're doing it in His name. You're going to civilize some people. I mean, they are civil. They're civil for their people. That's the excuse that you use to go over there and do what you did in America. On Turtle Island. Do what the same thing you did. Man, y'all come on, man. But let's go.
Covering her below the waist. I'd almost say she was the living image of beauty herself if the abhorrent symbols didn't dot her face and body. Children destroying their bodies for the sake of barbaric culture. We made camp here, and plan on keeping camp here for as long as necessary. I believe these natives would make fine workers if we gain the friendship of their cultural institutions. Loyalty to these institutions brings sacrifice for the greater good.
Great civilizations are built on the back of good workers. Now you heard what he said, and you heard what I said. Now how he go from Lord and Savior to we gonna make that? I bet they gonna make some good workers once we find their institutions and so once they infiltrate the institution and what's the word? Dang, it's so many words. But it slipped my mind. But anyways, they gonna go there and indoctrinate, indoctrination. There it is. Thank you. Indoctrination. Ancestors, I appreciate you. Ashe. You know what I mean? Indoctrination. I'm gonna say it again. Indoctrination. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all gonna do that. And then you're gonna turn them into good workers. And then you say great civilizations are built on the back of good workers. You see the hypocrisy there? In the same breath, he said, Lord and Savior, he plans to make him a slave. Somebody tell me how it's justified. How was it justified?
Civilizations are built on the back of good workers. To the east of this campsite, I found a small patch of dirt with queer protrusions jutting from it. It was hairy, but not like plant fuzz, almost animal-like in its physicality. I felt an instinctual urge to pull on it, to see what there was. I ordered the men to help me when I could not get it out myself, and together we managed to rip the plant out of the ground. The protrusion was not a plant, but a tail. The tail of a large swine. We had ripped its tail off. How such a swine came into existence on this geographically isolated island, I am unsure. As we got up, we stared at the creature. It squealed.
Let me answer that for you. Because it's not tainted. It has not been touched by the hands of these destroyers. Okay? Has not been touched. Therefore, everything there is on a different vibration. So it's going to look different. It's just like in the ocean. The deeper you go, the crazier the fish look. It's called metamorphosis. But another note, I did hear that part when he said that they skin manipulate too. I think that's another form of shape shifting. I just wanted to throw that in there as well. Let's go.
Squealed in pain trying to get itself up and walk, but it fell back on its side and continued to bleed and whimper. As it lay dying, I drew my pistol and killed the poor thing. I looked over the corpse after killing it. It seemed fully grown. A scout team has returned to our camp. 4 men dead and 3 more injured. They testified that while searching for natives, a large 15-foot tall beast has come from the greenery on the beach side of the island. Bullets did nothing against the bone shields. I ordered my ships to scout the beach side, searching for the beast. Considering the circumstances, I believed it prudent. The beast attacked our camp, slaughtering 21 of our men. It towered at least 19 feet, with the majority of its face surrounded by yellowy bone. This creature was foreign to me. It had the torso of a mammoth, the head of a horse, and the claws of a bear. Its torso was covered in thick white bone, and its claws made entirely of flesh. They morphed and changed like liquid metal. It tore through men, slashing them apart like factory equipment, with giant long tendrils popping out of nowhere, only to be reabsorbed back into its body. Its flesh almost looked like a spider's web, interconnecting into itself, laying on top of one another, but it almost seemed to be independent of the beast, trying to force itself into 1,000 different directions, but being stamped down by the superior force. Some of our men got stuck inside. Just touching it is enough to get stuck. An arm becomes your entire body. I can still hear the screams as those men were consumed inside the mass of flesh. As muffled as they were, I felt its eyes bore into me as our cannons tore through its flesh, leaving large holes in its body. It still twitches sometimes. I need to lay down or else I'll rip this page out. I plan on going into the middle of the island and seeing if there are any natives here. I will take exactly 100 armed men there and see if we can come to some sort of agreement with the natives. I wish to make good on my promise to the anthropologist and avoid hurting as many as possible. I killed a chieftain today, or what I presume was a chieftain. He ordered us to lay down our weapons, at least from what the anthropologist told us. I shoot him in the head and he falls to the ground without a single yelp or whimper of pain. Some ran in fear. Others too fearful to run, of which we captured and took back to camp. The anthropologist and I hate seeing the poor creatures in pain, but this is their fate for the time being. We talked to one of them, a boy no older than 10. He thanked us for killing the chieftain, for his rule was immoral and cruel. I received similar testimonies from the others of this chieftain's cruelty. We told him we were going to help them and make their lives better. I then asked him about the beast, and the boy sighed. He told us that it was made by the village. The chieftain, in response to seeing that outsiders had appeared on the island, ordered the entire tribe to group in the main village and help construct a guardian. This process took the majority of their energy, but not 3 days later, the chieftain ordered the young village men to come with him and to fight. The beast had been killed. He said the chieftain said we were going to kill the men and violate the women. The anthropologist took me aside and said that these villagers were an anomaly. I concurred, as it was not normal for people to craft flesh. But he said even aside from that, this shouldn't be possible. When I asked why, he responded that this language was a combination of European and Polynesian languages. Along with that, these villagers didn't look like Polynesians, as their skin was light-toned, unless they traveled across the world to this island. Some of the men brought us to this village. It couldn't have been more than 300 men and women. Their houses weren't made of wood or stone, but masses of flesh which bulged and moaned. These were made from the bodies of the dead, as a way to make sure their deaths were not worthless. They wore wet flesh on themselves, which to me seemed more disgusting than the houses themselves. Most of the village was terrified of the chieftain, not even attempting to go back for the body, fearful that it wouldn't be dead. Some were terrified of the new arrivals, while others asked the elder, who graciously suggested they wait before jumping to conclusions about their new guests. The majority followed the elders, the sacred group who had, until very recently, led their tribe. Homelessness was non-existent. They seemed to have no outsiders or undesirables, whether it be in a caste system such as India, or economic status such as Europe and the rest of the Americas. Men and women are not separated based on sex, but based on their nature. Men and women hunt, men and women search for food. They mostly subsist on meat, but fruits exist on this island as well. I saw families rush from their houses to some of the men we captured, and smothered them with kisses and hugs and cries that they were okay and safe. I saw a man cry in front of another, barely standing up. I asked Kohashi what was happening. He said that they were husbands. I wished to know nothing more. I asked some of the others if there was a village elder. They said there were once many, but all of them were slaughtered by the chieftain. Originally, the island had been run by wise old men who knew the religion, studied their practice since birth, and had their oral history since the beginning of their tribe, many thousands of years ago. The chieftain, originally an apprentice of one of them, rose up and killed them along with the other apprentices. He mastered the arts of crafting flesh at an early age, and could form entire beasts in an instant. I asked if there was anyone else who could give me the history of these people. There was one last remaining elder, the chieftain's father. When I questioned them on where they acquired the large mass of flesh, they told me that in the quest to make the beast, they had used up all their reserves. Seeing an opportunity to make right with the community, I told them that we had a large supply of food on our ships, and that if they needed to, we would provide them with as much food as possible. However, I needed an agreement from the leader of this tribe. They would agree to whatever proposal I had if the elder did so, who, according to them, would always put their own interests aside for the good of the village. We told him our offer, which he accepted and thanked us for being so generous. He hugged us and went out of the tent and called for the entire village, saying that the men would be generous and give us food as they planted their own. Our men transported food to them. One complained to me that they were giving away their food. I agreed, but told him that this was necessary to gain the trust. Then, once this occurred, we would be able to civilize them. We have established our capital city around the village. We have been training some of the hunters to hunt with our rifles, and they teach us their homeland and their agriculture. They place a newborn creature into the ground and bury it. The soil accelerates their growth. The elder says this is a sign from Ion that the island is one of the many holy lands. They planted newborn swines into the ground and will wait a couple of months for them to develop. Until then, hunting other creatures such as birds and fish will be enough to satisfy them. I must remember to get cows and chickens and normal pigs from my newfound supplier. Swine is an excellent dish, but not something civilized people should feed on. I had a thought many nights ago. What if I am meant to bring these people an empire? It is a strange thought, but considering everything that has gone on in the past months, is it so strange to think this? Is there truth to this? Or at the very least, elements of truth in it? I must think on this. I went into the mines today, and these mines definitely have gold. They could probably go down many, many miles, down below the crust of the earth. I come from a gold family. It's in my bones. Even my first job was mining gold, so I know there's gold here. My men whisper of leaving with the gold. I cannot allow that to happen. I must create an economy here to strengthen ourselves here. Assuming I have enough to operate the mines, I must have others work on creating currency. Gold is humanity's oldest currency, but these people know nothing of money. They don't even have a barter economy, instead sharing with one another. I have heard of socialism among the Europeans, and this is the closest I can think to socialism. With few resources, it forces cooperation amongst them. It's beautiful in a way, but not conducive to a civilized society, at least in the economic sense. I need to solve the labor crisis before my men forsake me. I asked the elder a hypothetical question. Would it be possible for a human child to be planted in the ground, and for a full adult to come in its place? He looked at me strangely, but he answered yes, it is. But it is generally viewed as inhumane, as it destroys the lifespan of the child. While it is said in the past that in times of disaster children will be planted, this is only done when no other possibility is available. He then asked me why I was asking such odd questions, and I told him what I was planning. He seemed shocked at first, horrified even, but then I described to him our future plans. I told him I thought I was to be the bringer of the Empire, and that with our weaponry and resources, we bring it about in quick order. We brought him to the gold mine and the ships, and showed him the maps of the world. I told him that together with these people's innate abilities, we could bring the entire world under our reign. I described how commerce worked, leaving out references to competition, as I know it would offend his cultural sensibilities. When I described to him how every nation on this planet had this, and the necessity of democratic institutions, he seemed more amicable to my plans. He approved of our plan.
You see that? I'm just saying, Academates. It says, for the Republic, to the Republic, to the Republic, to the Republic for which it stands. But the necessity of a democratic institution, which is how, especially over here in the States, yeah, I'm talking about. Hello. Red flag. Flag on the play. Flag on the play. Then they said, why? Why? And then you see how he reacted? Dude, and y'all see this. He telling him a bull face lie. I'm talking about all in his face, lying all to him, all to the daddy. Damn.
How every nation on this planet had this, and the necessity of democratic institutions. He seemed more amicable to my plans.
We got communists out here.
He approved of our plan, but told us to make it swift and make sure the parents do not witness this.
You're a liar.
I promised him this. He told the members of the community that it is a moral imperative to start producing offspring as soon as possible. Ohashi looked at me with disdain throughout the whole procedure.
This is capitalism.
It's been nearly 3 months since my last entry, and I feel
turn
sick
into a
for what
monopoly.
I've done. I feel unclean. Nearly every woman on the island is pregnant. I feel disgusting. I cannot go into the village without feeling disgusting. I feel immoral.
You should.
I feel evil.
You should.
I can see their faces. I know what I am. I beg Christ's forgiveness, and I know he reviles me as well. I threw my Bible out to the sea because I could feel it berating me. I could feel it berating me for what I've done. But I need to do this. I need to civilize these people. If I don't, who will? The British? The Americans? Any other horrible, immoral power that slaughters its people? If I leave, will the same...
What? 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 So you basically want to get over there first and do what everybody else is doing, and that's why you said that you was gonna be the reign and dominating. What? Who? I mean, if I don't get there and do it, who else will? The Americans, the British, which are the same. What's wrong with you, silly duck? You a duck? What? American, it's the same. That's the same. We know it. We all know it's the same. We all know that. So, what? Okay, let's go. I'm sorry.
Befall these children of nature.
The same
I
thing's
pray to
gonna
a
happen,
God
y'all.
whose back is turned on me.
As soon
A
as
child
the
waved
other
to me
people,
today.
the bigger people come, you know what I'm saying? They find
I
out what y'all
cried,
doing, boy, they gonna come
because
step
I know
on you,
that
boy.
child's brother will be the first one in the
He's gonna
ground.
become theirs anyway.
I threw up. I have sinned.
You one of them anyway.
I
The hell?
am sin. It has been 6 months, and I cannot bring myself to reflect on my thoughts anymore. Occasionally, I'm plagued by nightmares of children rising from the ground and gnawing on me. They're popping out of the ground and grabbing me and bringing me under. I see myself having dirt flung on me, and they're still grabbing with their tiny little hands and crying for their mother. And I know I'm bleeding, and I'm crying out for God, but God has turned his back on me.
No.
It is done. The sin is done.
Don't you tell
I told
yourself
some
that.
of the men to get their
You turned
guns.
your back.
Ohashi as well. He seemed disgusted at himself. He talked to himself in many languages I didn't recognize. I had never seen him this way before. The other men began to get nervous. The elder of the village told me that most of the children were already born, anywhere from a couple of weeks to multiple months, all of sufficient age to be used. The elder had performed his part. I then ordered my men to go into the tents and take the children and not to shoot. I had to look away for most of it. Most of the children were ripped from their mothers' and fathers' arms as they cried. Others tried to stab at us, but were beaten into submission. One of our men broke down. He went into the tent and saw a mother with her bone knife. She held onto her baby as tight as possible, tears running down her face. She cried to Ion for him to save her son from these monsters. The man began to cry himself. Jethro lost his son and daughter in the blood disputes of Appalachia. He couldn't bring himself to fight back and broke down. We had to have one of our men bring him in and beat the mother into submission. She screamed for Ion, her savior, for forgiveness of whatever sin she committed to deserve this punishment. She begged, she screamed, eventually taking one of our guns and shooting our man. We lost the child in the scuffle. She was put down. The elder was attempting to console the village who had begged him for assistance. He wept, but told them it was for the greater good, for Ion told him that the Empire would come in time due to this. Until then, do not resist, for it may anger Ion. By the end of the nightmare, we had over 300 children. We began the process of burying them. I can still hear their cries, feeling the dirt and enter their bodies and lungs and stomach, and everywhere else. They will be birthed soon.
Man, he sold them out, bruh. And you, see. That's what I'm talking about, man. That religion, boy, that religion, it'll do it every time. It'll do it every time. So you mean to tell me that these people just lay down their lives and just have their babies taken from them and don't resist because he told you about the money and he showed you the gold and all this stuff, and then you gonna turn around and use the God of your religion or your culture or whatnot to make these people just bow down and just let these folks do what the hell they gonna do, which is just horrific. So all because they said they was gonna put you on top. And then you already the elder, so they already know, you know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna be around too much longer. And when you out the picture, which knows the real plan, sir, they're going to enslave your entire nation. You dummy. What in the come on, man. This story has played out on this timeline in this realm so many times on so many different continents. They sell you a dream and then bump you and then take your team. And what they say, great civilizations, you know what I'm saying, are built on the back of good workers. You feel me? On your back. So when it's on your back, you know what I'm saying, you don't get to see the good work you do. You don't get to see the finished product. You don't get the proceeds. You don't get the reward because it's all on your back, bro. The same game finna get played on these people, man. I gotta speak on it, Caddy, mate, because you know what I'm talking about. This is a part of how the world got messed up, man. And listen, man, why in the hell? I'm telling you, it hidden in plain sight. I'm not finna just sit here and listen to all this stuff going on while I'm watching this dang big ass monster in the background with the scary looking teeth that's ready to eat up anything. They look like a little forest dude, but I'm talking about they took the color away so you really can't see the color of it. You know what I'm talking about? I don't really know what to call it. I was thinking reptilian, but now it's looking like something totally different. This may just be a whole nother species from a whole nother planet, whole nother dimension. It could be a splice or something. I don't know. Could be. But it's hey, why is that back there? So what are you showing? What are they showing without? What are they telling us without telling us? I just keep seeing it. Now look at all this. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's go. Back up. Bloop, bloop. Let's go.
According to legend, the arm will be what signifies the second birth. 2 weeks have passed, and the men are still disturbed at the event. Many seek to go home. Others cry of nightmares. I feel something in my stomach weighing me down. I have this revolver next to me. I imagine myself putting the revolver in my mouth and cocking the hammer and shooting. May God take me from my mortal coil and rip me apart. I am a liar and a disgusting fraud to all men.
I told you.
She never speaks to me anymore, only sleeping and occasionally eating. The nightmares only get worse. They're not screaming anymore, but whispering. They're whispering about what they will do to me.
Oh, yeah.
Hundreds of voices whispering in the black dirt around me, holding on to me and describing my death.
Oh, yeah.
I will be ripped apart by Ion himself.
Oh, yeah.
I am no more civilized than the barbarians I am trying to save. God, please forgive me. I ruined the island. God, I wish I could turn back and pretend none of this happened. But if I leave now, the men will be angry, for all their time and effort is ruined. Not only that, but the island now relies on my supplies. It won't be for many months, if not years, that their food stock will be brought back up to its previous circumstances. If I do, they're all going to starve. If I leave, I will ruin these people, show them that the white man can't be trusted, and forever snap the connection between us and them. No, I can't let this happen.
I feel
I need to stay.
boy, stop.
I need to. I am a monster. I am unforgivable. I am sin itself. I am so sorry. It has been 3 months and there has been a second birth. I stepped foot onto the pastures in the middle of the island for the first time in 3 months.
He got it
Limbs
bad.
dotted the landscape. Full-grown adult arms jutting out of the ground, covered in dirt and sunburn. Some of my men have already started pulling them out of the ground. The elder tells me it takes a while before full humans wake up. The women were placed into the care of the village, as they are necessary for future reproduction, and the men were dropped off at the shipyard for future mining. Barracks have been built for them, and they will be taught how to mine and fashion coinage for the island. We will repeat the process. I have written my constitution. I lifted many aspects from the American one. Most of the men, despite many reservations with me, will vote for me in the election. If I let the villagers vote, I will certainly lose. These men know that without me, they'll certainly die without the perceived friendship with Ohashi. Ohashi did not respond to me when I said I wrote the Constitution. Not that I blame him. I told the elder that I won the presidency, and he congratulated me. He then asked how the second birthers were. I told them the mines were working at an increased efficiency, and that we are creating the first batch of our currency. We opened the stores and gave each villagers enough coin to buy a couple of things. We told them that if they wished to continue this, they would need to accept the following: to have their tent destroyed and replaced with wooden houses. Many of them rejected this as an insult to their culture, and that it would make them selfish and self-destructive. We told them it was either the house or the stores. Many accepted, although many of the older members still refused. By the end of the day, every tent was destroyed, and construction began. Many of these men and women are hard workers. Gold production is increasing, and even small farms are beginning. But yet I come across another problem. I need to rid these people of their collective farms. The collective farm makes it difficult to encourage enterprise, because one must always think the collective soil. However, I decided to give the elder plans about this, and he told me if it meant the empire be created faster, so be it. I am Sin. Today I put down a revolt in the streets. When I announced my plan for the farms to be split amongst the best farmers in the community, they universally rejected it. They yelled at me, then they began to scream, then they began to attack my men. One of my men, Henry, began to panic and so drew his pistol and shot 2 men. This further inflamed the violence. I called Ohashi to quell the violence, but there was nothing he could do. They burnt down the store, stealing things from inside, claiming that it was a violation of their culture. Some even tried stealing our guns. I called in my men, and they began putting it down. Gunshots rang out in the village, eventually ending in the death of 50 people, the elder being one of them. We put the revolt down. A good 1/4 of our original population was slaughtered in the streets, and by my men. God forgive me for what I've done. I called them barbarians, killers, and thieves. I killed 1/3 of every man in the city, as I needed the women alive for the birthing. On the next day, I took every small child in the village and buried them again. The nightmares get worse and worse, but I know one thing. I will build my empire, one bullet at a time.
Ooh, shit. God. Hey, to my Caucasians out there, boy, y'all better disown. Y'all better disown this boy. Ooh, ooh. 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 listen here. The things that he's describing in the way that, boy, stop. It's describing how the genocide of my peoples. You know what I'm talking about? The indigenous of this here land, Turtle Island, the America, as you call it. What the fuck? What? I mean, the story just sounds so familiar. Like, wow. So many details that just, wow. This sounds so familiar to me. And for one thing, it would be in my blood, you know what I mean? From the ancestors or whatnot. To just like certain things, just like, yeah, it just sounds familiar. That's come on, dude. So this is taking place on an island, so they say, right? And the same thing, and he's like, I will be, eager to build that empire. You are just went to these people's stuff in the name of a god, and just like I said, war would kick off. This is the war clan we're dealing with. Like, what is this? What is this? Can y'all explain it to me? Help me out, Academates. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even if you're new, drop a comment, a few. I mean, come on. This is a repeated story. So familiar. I mean, a lot of people don't like to acknowledge it, admit it, or see it when it's right there. You know what I'm saying? Selective seeing, hearing, and, stuff like that. But truth is undeniable. This is crazy. I'm just sitting here like, wow, I did not expect all of this I did not. Okay, let's go. Because now it's starting to sound like America's Republic.
Introduction of SCP-4036, its history, its containment, and its people. The Foundation first discovered SCP-4036 during its invasion of the northern island of British New Zealand. There were reports of an undiscovered force in Polynesia causing havoc across the smaller, sparsely populated islands in southeastern Polynesia. However, since there was no substantial proof of this, it was discarded. Upon the invasion of the North Island...
Dude, that's a freaking reptilian. And y'all got to understand, there's several different species of these things. So they're not all going to look like what you're thinking they're going to look like. They look totally different, all different types. I mean, bro. What the? Bro.
In June of 1861, the Foundation could not ignore this call for war. Within the day of the initial invasion, the entire island fell to SCP-4036 and its force of 5,000 men, with a collective of 200 dead. After this, the Foundation declared SCP-4036 the top priority of the region. By the end of June, the international coalition of Spain, Japan, Netherlands, France, and Great Britain had been called together by the Foundation for the purposes of combating this destructive threat against the Foundation, and, to a greater extent, colonial interests in the region. With General Bow leading forces in South Island, New Zealand, the coalition began to force SCP-4036 back. However, despite conventional military wisdom suggesting otherwise, SCP-4036's forces were able to defeat multiple attempts at Foundation invasions of conquered territory. The attempted invasion of North Island failed with over 1,000 coalition casualties, mostly Japanese and British. All attempts at gaining the few isolated pockets of SCP-4036 had control over failed, mostly due to a lack of understanding of SCP-4036's military. However, one individual, Ohashi Hashigoro, also known as Person of Interest 433, knew how to help. Vice President of SCP-4036 and leader of religious affairs, he had an understanding of the culture of SCP-4036 that none could rival, even Taylor. Writing to 052, a friend of Ohashi before his work with SCP-4036, he offered the Foundation near unlimited information to SCP-4036's military operations, their tactics, their weakness, and, if supplied with armaments, rebel groups in the region. It was an offer the Foundation could not help but take advantage of. and the only thing Ohashi wanted was that SCP-4036-1, the population, be unharmed. The Foundation in a remote island near the main capital of SCP-4036 delivered a variety of armaments to Ohashi and his rebel groups. However, the decisive factor was the Battle of South Island. The Battle of South Island began on October 13th, when dozens of bone ships were seen on the horizon. Their hulls, made entirely of femur bones, made cannon fire near impossible, along with eyes implanted on every part of the vessel. Boarding them would also be impossible. Preparing to defend the island, General Bo gave his men the...
Now, I've seen such ships in anime, cartoons, and the movies and stuff like that. That's crazy.
order to hold their ground. However, in the background, General Bo came up with a different plan. When the O5 Council gave him temporary Level 5 status, he had access to information a normal general would not have been privy to. One of these was Mobile Task Force Theta-1, Warhawks, formed during the Foundation's Civil War of 1814. Theta-1 was composed of anomalous individuals, drawn from anomalous persons of interest, staff, and SCPs. The task force was made up entirely of individuals who had proven their loyalty to the Foundation. During times of disaster, they were anything from combat operatives, medical officers, memory wipers, and spies. They were an ace in the hole. So, when General Bo ordered them to destroy the fleet, they were only too glad to answer that request. With a large thormic blast from the sky, the Flesh Fleet was fried, with no mercy. By the end of 1861, SCP-4036 had been all but beaten. Not only that, it was near collapse. Ohashi, seeing an opportunity that the Battle of South Island left open, ordered his rebel groups to seize the day and attack the capital. Within the span of 2 months, from December to January, the capital was laid to ruins. The capital, made up of over 20,000 citizens, mostly military, was reduced to 3,000 by the end of the fighting. However, despite the mass destruction, Hashigoro was able to come out as the victor, declaring himself the President of the Republic, calling for elections of the House of Representatives, Senate, and for the Church to call in delegates. Taylor, realizing he had nothing left to lose, attempted one final assault on the capital. Grabbing hold of the handful of men still loyal to him, he marched on the Capitol building, ordering Hashigoro, his former comrade, to surrender and that he would pardon him if he did. Ohashi instead had his handful of men slaughtered in the street, and Taylor himself gagged and placed into his own private cell. Ohashi knew that Taylor was leverage. The Coalition, however, did not need leverage. Most of the population had been, thanks to Theta-1, pacified, and the damages covered up. The Coalition had their colonies back, and with minimal damage, it should have been sufficient. But it wasn't. The Foundation, still believing that containment had not been fulfilled, pushed the Coalition to invade the main island. However, the Coalition, unfamiliar with Foundation policy, were not willing to plan a full-out invasion of the island. They were not willing to test their militaries after near defeat mere months ago. Ohashi was also not willing to cooperate. He refused to allow Foundation representatives into the island, and ordered his military to arrest all Foundation officers that arrived. With no way to combat this, the Foundation resorted to containment of SCP-4036. SCP-4036 remains the Foundation's biggest failure. Modern. The following is a series of excerpts from interviews of current-day SCP-4036-1. These recordings were done under the guise of a reporter from the capital of SCP-4036.
Oh, yes, I speak English. I'm not the best at it since it's usually used by the higher ones, but I think that's the correct word. Again, my English is poor, so I apologize for the incorrect word. Yes, I'm Japanese, although I haven't been to that country. My father sometimes talks about it, but I don't know anything about the culture or anything. I tend to use English sparingly. Only the city ones ever use it. We use the traditional language, the ones our ancestors used to communicate with Ion, before we were cut off. So, yes, since we use metal, our High Priest Ion cuts us off from his flesh. We are wandering in the dark now. We don't use those machines. We use flesh and bones like we always have and always will use. Whenever I hold one of those things in my hand, I feel unclean in my own skin. I feel like a spirit massages my skin and scalp in a horrifically uncomfortable way. Even talking about it makes me uncomfortable. Oh, yes, many of the farmers out here don't use them, but I think it's due to their economy than their beliefs.
The sewers are, if not the worst thing I've ever seen, at least up there in the sheer quality of awfulness. The pipes are alive as well, you see. They grow and expand outward, and we need to encourage it to go in the right direction, you see. We got a couple limbs off here and there. Sure, they scream and squeal, but they need to transport our waste in the right direction. You understand? But that ain't the worst part, in my opinion. The worst part are the homeless critters underneath the city. We don't bother bringing the limbs back up. The homeless just eat it back up. And yes, those pipes are filled with our waste. I do not know how desperate a man must get before eating piss and shit-covered flesh, but that is desperation if I've ever seen one.
The Foundation is a scourge on this planet. I find our president's rhetoric amoral and perhaps dangerous. Does he not know our history, our past? I don't understand how he could platform on mending that relationship. It's like sticking your dick in a beehive. It might feel good for a minute or two, and then the stinging happens. It's just unpleasant the whole way around.
The president, I don't keep track of what he does. Sorry, English isn't first language. I am American, I think, but I don't know much about it. I know some Japan language, but I use the traditional language. It brings me closer with Ion. I think the city dwellers are too concerned with technology and metal than with our savior, Ion, but that is not for me to decide. We're all absorbed back into his body in the end anyways.
I don't think the Christians and Muslims deserve what happened to them, but it is unnatural for them to be here. It isn't natural for a European and Asiatic religion to be on this island. It spreads far and fast, and far beyond the eyes of our government that think it's a danger to our society. Now, I don't think they deserve what's going on for them by any means. But should they really be surprised by what's going on? It's unregulated and clashes too wildly with our culture. We're a holy nation, after all, founded on Ion's beliefs and desires, not on Jesus or Mohammed. No. No violence. I abhor violence. I just want a peaceful cleansing of the nation. That's all.
I once went looking in the woods once. I heard them murmuring, their screams. I picked up my gun and traveled on foot. I was preparing for one or two, not a dozen, wearing large fleshy tendrils on their persons. They were wearing the symbols of one of the nearby warlord camps, and so I began to walk away, and then fell into a pit. I felt myself near bodies, many bodies, dozens, maybe 100, all in various states of rottage, of worms crawling around in the eyes and maggots eating holes inside the face, in the throat, and God knows where. My thought attracted to them. I gripped my shotgun and hid under the bodies, praying to my savior for forgiveness and to protect me from these barbaric monsters. They spoke in hushed whispers of the traditional language. One poked the body I lay under. I could smell her rotting corpse. Her eyes weren't there anymore, just glassy holes that used to contain humanity. A mother for one, a sister for another, a wife for another. I peeked down and say they held flesh weaponry, red-black tendrils popping out of their backs, revealing their skeletons and organs and everywhere else. I aimed for one of these backs, hoping to strike a heart or other vital organ. I aimed and fired, blowing not only his brains out, but his heart and his skeleton as well. I ran as far as possible, occasionally firing back as a warning. Their weapons worked best in close range, but were ineffective in longer ranges. I got inside my house and didn't come out until morning. I slept with a shotgun. I went to the police that morning in the city. They checked the pit. There wasn't a single person without Christian or Islamic iconography in that pit. The Foundation is our protector as well as our slaver. It protects our borders, but only under the auspices of keeping us in bondage. Our military isn't for protecting from other countries, but from an international agency bent on our destruction. I've heard stories of attempts to court the GOC and GRU, but to no avail. I wonder if I'll never see my homeland of Japan ever again, but I doubt such a possibility.
Our battle with the Foundation isn't only an ideological battle over independence and centralization, but a battle over science and religion. You see, as the head of our church, I believe that the Foundation is not only a physical, but spiritual force. The Foundation is the force that seeks to contain who you are, what you are. They wish to contain our religion, keep it from spreading as it should across the world. If we can destroy that force within us all that seeks to contain our beliefs, we've already won the battle.
I sometimes worry that our people are too focused on an upcoming defensive battle with the Foundation. The countryside wishes for peace in their common religion, while cities seek outside products such as phones, the internet, and other technological equipment. The Foundation is a threat to their religion and their ability to connect to the outside. I worked for the military for 2 years, and I can say, we all know a war's coming, but we don't want to admit it. If there is a war, our country will burn. I can assure you of that.
Sometimes I wonder why we're here. Of course I understand how we're here, but I don't know why we're here. Are we just trying to keep the experiment our founder had many years ago? Of our second president? Or are we trying to survive against the oppressive forces of the Foundation? I don't know. I do know what we are, at least. Enemies of the Foundation, and that binds us together. For how much longer, though, I'm unsure.
Level 5 access only.
Treaty draft. Be it declared that on redacted, the Foundation and the Aditite Republic of Polynesia have come to the following. That the Aditite Republic of Polynesia will be officially recognized by the Foundation and be allowed the conditions of trade and self-determination under Foundation supervision. That the Foundation will, to the best of its abilities, protect the regime of the Republic, its interests, and its people. That the Aditite Republic of Polynesia, in exchange for official status as an anomalous state, will, in the case of anomalous phenomenon, relinquish all responsibilities to the Foundation when captured. If there be an anomalous humanoid on the Aditite Republic of Polynesia outside of standard anomalous capabilities, see Article 3 for Normalcy Standards of the Republic, the Aditite Republic authorities will detain and revoke the citizenship of said anomalous humanoid and place it at the nearest Foundation site in the region. Allow the construction of Site 4036 to contain any anomalous objects, entities, etc. that may inhabit the country. Allow the Foundation to use physical or human resources in the region for the purposes of furthering containment of an item or serving Foundation needs. Signed, 051 2 4 5 6 8 9 10 11 12 13. And President of the Aditite Republic of Polynesia.
So 3 and 7 said, man.
This concludes today's lecture. Thank you for listening, if indeed you still are.
Yeah, we in here.
And you are all dismissed.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Alright, class, if you made it this far, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Love light to you, peace to you, you know what I'm saying? Good at that. You feel? Yo. Get out your feelings if you're in your feelings. You know what I'm talking about? This type of stuff happened all over the place. It happened all over the world. When it happened, you know what I'm saying, over here in America, it was happening everywhere. It's just what it is, people. It's what it is. You know what I'm talking about? Dude is psycho. It's a freaking psychopath. Like, was from the get-go in there to do them dirty from the get-go. It's definitely the 48 Laws of Power. Definitely the 48 Laws of Power was played right there. If you haven't read that book, y'all, you may want to go read that book there, boy, because I'm telling you. You heard how he was talking about himself. So basically, when you get to the end and you think about the person that whoever decides to run that playbook right there, you heard how he was talking about himself. When I got to the end of it, I'm sorry. When I got to the end of it, I was like, wow, whoever this person is, he's cold. Like, cold. And then I look at the world and I be like, ooh. It's cold outside. You know what I'm talking about? Salute the ludicrous. You know what I'm saying? Because it is definitely ludicrous out here. Good people, keep your head on a swivel. Watch out for little pockets like this. Keep your ears open and your CT on for when you hear little stories like this. You know what I'm saying? You can trace it back to some history and you see that it kind of repeats itself. You know? Now, we're not just going to say it's one particular race that did it, because when you really do just history, you're going to figure out that there's a lot of people that had their hands in this, and a lot of people that, or should I say species, on and off planet that had their hand in this. You got what I mean? And again, this is why we're over here in this field. That's why they sent me over here to go through the files and see exactly what we can find. And what do you know? We find an actual blueprint duplicate of what took place on the entire planet. The entire planet got dead like this. But not just by one particular race. So I can't just say, all the white people did it. No, can't do that. Because we got others. Yeah. We own you. We own you. You know what I'm talking about? We own you. But yeah, y'all keep your head on the swivel, man, and you know what I'm saying? Don't forget to keep yourself spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally protected. You know what I'm saying? The world is definitely cold. I mean, watch out. I would definitely say watch out for people trying to move in on you with some religion, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't trying to take shots at religion. I said the people trying to move in on you with religion. You know what I mean? Because all that he did to these people, he did that in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. And that's the same story that took place on this island. And I don't give a damn who mad about that, because that's his story. His story told that. Anybody can go look at that. It's his story, correct? So, and the story is always told by the victor, correct? And when the victor loves to gloat, they gloat, correct? Therefore, all you do is just pick up a book and go deeper than the schools, and you'll find all you need to find. This is the age of Aquarius, the age of knowing, and knowing is half a battle. You know what I'm talking about? And I'm just saying, people. I'm just saying. I ain't taking no shots at nobody. I'm asking that everybody do it, because everybody has been bamboozled by, what do you call them? The higher ones. You know what I mean? So it's no lie. You know what I mean? It's obvious. You know what I mean? And we're just here to call it out for what it is. If you won't, then allow the people that do to do what they do. We gonna do what we do. We gonna call it how we see it. And that's what I see there. The Republic, that's really democratic in nature. Is that what we're working with? Because I think that's what we're working with. Because he was about to do it to them. It's capitalism at its finest. And he was definitely going to capitalize. And at the detriment of all those people. And you still got reptilians in the background. Underground. You feel me? Because you see they showed the pictures of the monsters. But they mostly talked about what the civilizing of these natives, these indigenous. That was the bulk of the story, which is, again, repeated in this history in this timeline. But you get pictures of reptilian type beings. And I know that there's a galactic republic. Heard about that. And it's the Alpha Draconis. They from the Alpha Draconis star system. I believe that's what he said. Yeah, that's what he said. He said they're from the Alpha Draconis star system. Yeah. And then we already know who the council is. I mean, if you don't know, then come on, man. That's even more obvious who they are. So yeah, I know what's going on. You know what I'm talking about? I hope you know what's going on. But if you don't, just stay tuned because you will. You know what I'm saying? And Academates, until then, keep the CT on. You know what I'm talking about? Get your dibs, man. You know what I'm saying? Do your due diligence. You feel me? I don't condone in nothing that you see is here. But I will give you some advice, you feel me? It's just advice. You know what I'm saying? And you're not obligated to take it. It's just advice. You feel me? To just do some due diligence. Your own. Don't just take my word for it or anybody else's word for it. Do your own. And if you see somebody out there and they trying to chase down a dog and you can stop them, help them get the dog, man. Help them get the dog. Because I promise you, whether it's a dog or not, you're going to be chasing them down. You're going to need somebody to help catch the thing, and you're going to be the catch. You know what I'm saying? You're going to want them to help you. You're going to be screaming, "I need somebody help! Help!" Always a spectator. That's lack of compassion. That is definitely selfish. You weren't even thinking about you. You know what I'm saying? You're only thinking about yourself. You feel me? You weren't thinking about nobody else. And I decided to just put my car and stop in the middle of the road like everybody else or anybody else could have at this moment. For as far as those dogs made it, anybody could have done this. At a red light as well, and then the light's turning red. So eventually the people would have had to stop anyway, right? So at that point, somebody hop out and help this man get his dogs. Damn. That's upsetting. Very upsetting. Get it together, people. Get it together. Because that type of attitude is not cosmic love. That is not love. That is not love, man. You are definitely operating in the root chakra right there. You only, boy, stop it. But you know what? Academates, next time. Peace.